morning, boys and girls. How are you? It's so nice to be able to visit with you. Even though we can't be together in the same room, it's nice because I miss you. And I'm here in room 33. That's the music room at the elementary school. And I'm also with Mr. Ruland. You can't see him because he's filming. He's so good at that. He's very talented. Oh, there he is. Hello, Mr. Ruland. Myself and Mr. Ruland, we miss you so much. And I know that all the other teachers and staff here at Wilcox Elementary School miss you as well. We're hoping that you're having a good time and staying busy and keep up your learning. And so we're going to help you do that today. Right, Mr. Ruland?
Yes, we are.
Absolutely. Today we're going to talk about some art and music things, but we're going to integrate, which is kind of a big word that just means we're going to relate them to some math and science principles that you guys are learning about as well. So I can't wait to get started. Today we're going to learn about 3-capital D. What is that? Mr. Ruland.
3 dimensions.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Ruland. Did all of you guess that as well? I have to tell you, Mr. Ruland, we have some smart students.
Yes,
And
we do.
yes, we do. And they have already learned about 3-dimension in art intervention. And so, how many of you said it before Mr. Ruland even said it? It's awesome if you did, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to start with the very basics of dimension. 3-dimension is what our whole world is about. But we also have what is called 2-dimension, 2-D. 2-dimension is like a flat Stanley, is like when things are flat or when they are planar or have planes. We're going to pan over to our shapes here. We're going to start with our very, very basic shapes, or our 2-dimensional shapes, which, for example, we have our square here. It has 4 equal sides, and this plane right here, this flat part of this cube, we know this is a cube, is 2-dimensional, and it's called a square, and it has 4 sides and 4 vertices. Oh, we have another one here. We have some more. Here's a little bit bigger square. Even though it's bigger, it still has 4 equal sides and 4 vertices, which makes it a square as well. Just this plane, this part of this is the square. We also have, we're gonna go to our rectangle now. But you might say, but it has 4 sides. Miss Lamb, it has 4 sides and it has 4 vertices or corners, so why is it not a square? Mr. Ruland, do you have the answer?
I do. They are not equal.
The sides are not all equal. So what happens with the rectangle, Mr. Ruland?
Well, if you look at the top of this, let's pan in a little bit. It is longer than the sides. So the top and the bottom are the same size, but they are not the same size as the left and the right.
Wow, so it has 4 sides, but only 2 sides are equal. 2 longer sides and 2 shorter sides, and it has 4 vertices. We also have another rectangle here, and we might as well show that one as well because it's a different size, but still it has what, Mr. Ruland?
It has 2 sides that are equal. The top and bottom are the same, and the left and right are the same.
And 4 vertices.
And 4 vertices. Now, if you can adjust it, go top, it's still the same shape, but all we did was just moved it from laying down to standing up. But it still has, now the top and the bottom are shorter, and the left and right are longer.
Wow. Very interesting. And this is I have to thank Mr. Ruland for asking us to turn these in a different direction, because it's kind of important, especially when you are dealing with our 3D rather than our 2D, and even in our 2D, because I know from an art standpoint, it changes the way you think about them and what the things you can do with them and how you can work with them to create whatever you need to create and come up with different ideas. So we're going to put these down. We've got some more shapes, basic shapes, and I'll bet you can think ahead a little bit and think, okay, we've talked about rectangle, we've talked about square, but we have some other shapes, and I'm going to hold one up right now. So here's the plane, and this is a
circle.
It's a circle, and I'll bet you guys knew that before Mr. Ruland even said. We have a few different sizes of circles as well. Wow. Here's another size of a circle. I think it's the same. Let's measure it. It's a little bit bigger, but it's still a circle. We have some other shapes as well, we know. We have the triangle. Now the triangle is an interesting shape because it has 1, 2, 3 sides, which is what makes it a triangle. Sometimes the sides on the triangle are not even. Sometimes only 2 sides are even and then one side is different. We have triangles that are even on all 3 sides. So we have a lot of different things that variations on a triangle. Now remember that this flat surface is the 2-dimensional shape we're talking about now, and they have names: triangles, circles, squares, rectangles, and so on. We have other shapes. We're going to, for the interest of time, I want you to think in your mind, what are some of those other shapes, like pentagons, hexagons, octagons? There are other shapes. Heart shapes, in art we use heart shapes. And all of these shapes are used in math, science, as well as art. And so those are some basic shapes we have that we're talking about. Now we're going to talk about what makes this shape go from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional, which means it's going to have take on a different shape or order.
Wow.
Let's go to our 3-dimensional shapes now. We're going from 2D to 3D. We're going to start with our square, which was right here, and we're going to turn it into a 3-dimensional shape. Look at that. It's got all kinds of planes, all kinds of squares that turn it into one whole shape. What would the name of that shape be? Is that a circle? Is that what is that, Mr. Muland?
That is a cube.
A cube. Oh, I see another cube. It's a little bigger, but it's also a cube. All right, so a 2-dimensional square becomes a cube in our 3-dimensional world. Let's go to our circle. Now, the circle is interesting because the circle has a lot of different variations. We've got our circle, our plane, which becomes, if it's elongated, you've got our 2 circles at the end here. It becomes a cylinder. That's a cool shape, cylinder.
Look over here.
Oh, look at that.
More cylinders.
What? I bet you guys have seen that before. They were kind of a shortage. They've become a rare thing lately.
Oh. And then that cylinder.
Oh, I'm hungry.
It's
Gosh,
lunchtime.
that cylinder makes me hungry. All right, so we've got our cylinder shape. That is a circle. We also have, and we have another. This is also a cylinder, and as you could see, we have. It's like in life, you see these kinds of cylinders a lot. Here's actually another cylinder. We have lots of cylinders going on, and then the one that makes us hungry, right? Okay. We also have another thing that a circle can become in our 3D world, and that is I'm going to use my friendly...
Think of a basketball, a soccer ball,
we need to name
baseball.
this guy. He needs a name.
I think he's a Fred.
Fred, is he a Fred?
No, yeah, Fred.
Fred, okay. We're going to name him Fred. If any of you have better ideas for our WES friend here, you let us know. So Fred here is a tennis ball, and like Mr. Rulin said, balls have a certain type of shape. They're basically a circle that have become a sphere. I love that word, sphere. It's kind of a cool word. This is a sphere. So the circle becomes a sphere in dimensions. It can also become a cylinder. And it actually can be part of some other shapes as well, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So that's pretty cool. What are some other things that are spheres in our world? Oh, there's a big, huge one.
The sun.
The sun. The sun is a sphere. It kind of looks, when we draw it, we kind of draw it flat, but actually the sun is not flat. It's very dimensional. It is a sphere. We also have one that I'm standing on right now.
Earth?
Earth can be a sphere. Our world is a sphere.
And
So
one
I
that
like
rotates around the Earth, the moon.
The moon. The moon is so cool. And lately, you know what? If you get a chance and you think of it, go out and look at the moon at night. And it's coming out even before it's dark lately because it's summer. The moon, there have been some fabulous pictures of the moon. Sometimes the moon does not show its whole sphere to us. It's like what is called a crescent. But it's actually a sphere up there in the sky. Look at this. I have to tell you, this is also a cylinder. So Fred is sitting on a cylinder. Who knew? These kinds of shapes are everywhere in our world. We have other ones too. We have the triangle that has now become a pyramid. And so it still has its corners, it has its vertices, and it is called a pyramid. It has 4 sides, but they are all triangular in shape. We also have the cone. Now the cone, if you held a cone up this way, you've got the circle, the 2D circle, and yet if you hold it this way, you've got the triangular shape only with no sides, no vertices. You've just got no corners. You've just got the cone shape. So it's a mix. It's a mixed shape. We also have, speaking of triangles, a triangular prism, which is very cool. It has 3 sides. It looks from this direction to be a rectangle. And in the 2D world, it is a rectangle. But in the 3D world, it becomes a prism. Here's our triangle, just elongated to become a prism. And we have also, did we talk about the rectangle yet?
The rectangular prism?
Yeah, I don't think we did.
Oh.
So instead of 3 sides, the rectangular prism has 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sides, actually 6 planes. But as you can see, it's elongated. It's the square, but elongated, which creates the rectangular prism. Sorry. Sorry, Mr. Rulin. Whoops. I think we're filming. Hi, guys. Sorry, I just got a little carried away. Well, I couldn't help it because we're getting into the really fun part of 3-dimension, and we're going to talk about the projects that we're going to be making this summer. I'm so excited. Many of you have seen my crazy ukulele, cereal box ukulele, hanging around, and many of you have said, we want to do that, Miss Lamb, so we're going to do it. We're going to do that. We also are going to be making a car, truck. I want to do a camper and a dollhouse because we're going to need to, we can create them and make them 3-dimensional. So I'm excited. It's part of our whole 3-dimension thing. Are you excited? That's a lot of stuff to make, and we're going to try to make them. And so I'm going to talk about the materials that we're going to need so that you can kind of prepare for all of that. So I kind of like the cereal boxes just plain, still looking like cereal boxes, but if you want to, for example, with your dollhouse in your car, your cereal box, you can actually paint them. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's talk about the different boxes and their shapes. Obviously, all these objects here are three-dimensional. They're not flat like a piece of paper. They are actually dimensional. So we have our trusty Kleenex boxes. This one is awesome. I love this one. This is a cool one. And here's another one that's pretty cool. We have our cereal box. And the cereal box is just like a really great shape to make things with. So be collecting some. For the dollhouse, you're going to need 2 shoe boxes for the dollhouse. I may make mine out of these boxes, but they're similar to a shoe box. But you need 2 of those if you want to make the dollhouse. Gosh, just all kinds of stuff. You're going to need some kind of funky stuff like this crazy pop rock box. Anything works. This kind of thing, this is a great shape. And how many of you have little brothers and sisters, and they maybe boxes like this at your house? Say, Mom, don't throw those away. We are going to be creating art with those. We are artists and we need to have our boxes. Here's another one.
And
Just
that's
all
a
kinds
good
of
way
things.
to reuse, repurpose some of these items. Instead of throwing them away, we can put them to use and
So do you
make pretty cool things. And I love this shape. It's
This
not
one
a
is
normal
fun.
shape, but that would be cool to make something with.
Oh yeah, all kinds of. I'm so excited. It's going to be fun. Yeah, like Mr. Rulon said, we've got some cool shapes, and who knew? They are just from regular boxes that you have around the house. You know, I mean, seriously, we're going to talk about how you don't need to go out and spend a lot of money. Say, Mom and Dad, we got to spend a bunch of money on this stuff. No, just reuse, repurpose. Repurpose means to reuse something and make it a useful item after it's been used for whatever it was created for. So any kind of box will work. We have our toilet paper rolls, our paper towel rolls, another great shape, egg cartons, just some cool stuff that you could use. And they could all be used for the things that you're going to be making. We have these shapes as well. For this one, I put a shoelace, and that's my shoelace strap here. And I love it because you can adjust it. It's tight and nimble.
If you look, it's a box of Mentos,
Oh, I'm hungry now.
paper towel holder. Well, paper towel, what holds it together.
The towel. Mm-hmm.
And then a cereal box. And if you notice, the Mentos, the rest of it's right there.
So now I'm going to talk about if you want to turn it into one with strings, you're going to need some rubber bands. So you can actually add rubber bands to these, or make a banjo type and put rubber bands on them with your Kleenex boxes. So these are just materials that you can use for these rubber bands. You will need some paper possibly to roll up for your axle for your car. These are lids. Now these are lids that, how many of you, like I say, you use the squeezy juices and all that, and the fruit purees, or yeah. So here's another lid, and it's just the
Like a
milk
juice bottle.
juice bottle, water bottles. Just try to save up some lids, and you can use those for what we're doing. And then you can use paper. You can leave them plain like I have. You can paint them using paints and or markers. We have markers here. We have colored pencils. And of course you're going to need scissors, and you'll need a pen or pens to create what is called the template. We talked about that in the video that we produced before. Also, glue. You may want glue and trusty tape. You will need tape, either masking tape, which works really well, or even Scotch tape. If you use a glue gun, be sure to get your mom and dad involved, or an adult involved, to help you out with that and get permission. You also have regular Elmer's glue, which I don't have on the table, but we do. It can be used for some of these things as well. Some fun things that you can use. So be thinking. For example, this is printed and it could be used for your dollhouse. So just fun stuff. This would be a great thing to use for your dollhouse. This pattern right here. Mrs. Layton gave us this. This is so cool. So it's wallpaper. Oh boy, that's going to be really cool. Just all kinds of things that you can find around the house that you think you might be able to use for different things that you're going to be making. I can't wait. Can't wait. So stay tuned if you would like to see the car camper. I want to try a camper and dollhouse, maybe a truck like that.
All right.
You know. So, and straws. If you have some straws, or ask if you go to McDonald's, for example, ask them if you can take a couple extra straws. You just need 2 for the project, or you might need to just grab a couple if you can. Ask for permission. Be sure to do that and grab some straws. So we're good. I am so glad to be able to connect with you guys. I hope you're enjoying this. Please plan to join us again and make these objects. They're going to be fun, and we will see you next time. Bye. Bye, Mr. Ruland.
Bye. We'll see you later.